Evan Hale woke up to the steady hum of machines and the soft blue light of the medical ward. The ceiling above him was smooth and curved, nothing like the hospitals on Earth. Thin lines of light moved slowly across it, changing colors as if the room itself was breathing. For a moment, Evan forgot where he was. Then the dull ache in his side reminded him of everything. He was on the deep space medical vessel Sanctuary Drift, 3 systems away from Earth, surrounded by species he still struggled to pronounce. The last thing he remembered was the reactor alarm, the red lights, and the heat burning through the corridor. He had not thought. He had just acted. He sealed the breach manually, even though the radiation alarm screamed at him to run. Now he was alive. That surprised him. He tried to move, but a sharp pain stopped him. Evan let out a quiet breath and stared at his hands. They looked smaller here, weaker somehow, wrapped in translucent healing bands that glowed faintly. A soft sound reached his ears, light and careful. Someone was nearby. An alien nurse stood beside his bed, checking a floating display. She was tall and slender, her movements precise, almost graceful. Her skin was a smooth, polished surface that shifted gently between shades of blue and green. Evan had learned enough during his time among the Union to know that her species communicated emotion through color. She noticed his eyes were open and immediately straightened. "You are awake," she said. Her voice was calm, musical, but controlled. "Please do not attempt to move." Evan managed a small smile. "Too late, I tried, lost the fight." Her skin shifted to a slightly darker blue. Concern, he thought, or maybe alertness. He was never fully sure. "My name is Nereth," she said. "I am assigned to your recovery." "Evan," he replied, "thanks for, well, all of this." She inclined her head slightly, the alien version of a nod. "Your injuries are severe by human standards. Survival probability was low." "Comforting," Evan said softly. For a second, her skin flickered, a ripple of lighter color passing across her arms. Evan wondered if that was confusion or something else. Then she returned to her work, adjusting the flow of medicine through the tubes connected to his body. Around them, the ward was quiet but busy. Other beds held patients of different shapes and sizes. Some floated in containment fields. Others rested on platforms designed for bodies with more limbs or none at all. Machines whispered in dozens of languages Evan could not understand. Humans were rare here, fragile, temporary. That was how most species saw them. "You saved the vessel," Nereth said after a moment. "The reactor breach would have spread to 3 decks." Evan shrugged as much as the bands allowed. Someone had to do it. Her skin darkened again, deeper this time. Respect, maybe, or disbelief. "Your species is known for unexpected behavior," she said carefully. Evan laughed quietly. "We hear that a lot." She paused, then looked at him directly. Her eyes were large and dark, reflecting the soft light of the room. "You should rest. Healing will take time." "I know," Evan said. "But before I do, I just wanted to say." She waited. He glanced at her skin, currently a gentle shade of teal, calming and steady. It reminded him of the oceans back home, the color of shallow water under sunlight. "You look stunning in that color," Evan said honestly. The reaction was immediate. Nereth froze. The data display flickered and drifted to the side. Her skin flashed white so suddenly it hurt Evan's eyes. She swayed, one long hand gripping the edge of the bed. "Nurse," Evan said, panic rising. "Hey, are you okay?" Alarms sounded. Soft at first, then louder. Other medical staff rushed toward them, their movements sharp and urgent. Nereth collapsed to one knee, breathing fast. Her skin shifted wildly through colors Evan had never seen before. "What did I do?" Evan whispered. 2 alien medics supported her, speaking rapidly in their own language. One of them turned a hard gaze toward Evan, eyes narrow and glowing. "What did you say to her?" the medic demanded. I just gave a compliment," Evan said. "I didn't mean." The medic's skin darkened to a dangerous shade. "Humans are not authorized to issue status affirmations." "I don't even know what that means," Evan said, heart pounding. They helped Nereth onto a nearby seat. Slowly, her breathing steadied. The wild colors faded, settling into a pale, muted blue. She looked up at Evan, eyes wide, not angry, shocked. "I am sorry," Evan said quickly. "I didn't know it was wrong. On Earth, it's just being polite." The room was tense. Other staff whispered. Some stared at Evan as if he were suddenly something dangerous. After a long moment, Nereth raised a hand. "It was not an attack," she said softly. "It was unexpected." The alarm stopped. The medics exchanged looks. "She will recover," one said reluctantly. They stepped back, but their eyes never left Evan. When the ward finally quieted again, Nereth turned to him. Her skin was still pale but steady. "You must not speak such words to my kind," she said. "I won't," Evan promised. "I really didn't mean to hurt you." She studied him for a long time. "You did not hurt me," she said. "You disrupted a system." Evan frowned. "I don't understand." "In my culture," she explained slowly, "comments about appearance are restricted. They imply authority, approval, or deep personal recognition. Such words are only spoken during bonding rites or by those of higher rank." "Oh," Evan said quietly, "I'm definitely none of those." Her skin shifted just slightly, a warmer tone. "That is what makes it difficult," she said. Before Evan could ask more, a metallic voice filled the ward. "Patient Evan Hale is now under observational status," the station AI announced. "Reason, psychological anomaly event." Evan sighed. "Great. I break the ship, then I break the rules." Nereth almost smiled. Over the next hours, word spread through Sanctuary Drift. A human patient had caused a neurological shock in a trained nurse with a single sentence. The story grew with every retelling. Some said it was manipulation. Others said it was a form of human dominance behavior. Evan slept through most of it, drifting in and out of dreams filled with earth skies and the sound of waves. When he woke again, Nereth was still there. She stood a little farther from the bed this time. "The medical council has requested a report," she said. "Am I in trouble?" Evan asked. Her skin shifted thoughtfully. "That depends on how they choose to define what you are." He gave a tired smile. "Just human." She watched him carefully as if seeing him for the first time. "That may be the problem," she said. Outside the ward, unseen by Evan, data logs multiplied. Other stations reported similar incidents. Humans calming hostile species with words. Humans easing panic without protocol. Humans saying the wrong things and somehow making everything better. The galaxy had always measured power in strength, technology, and law. It had not prepared for a species that wielded empathy like instinct. And it all started with a simple sentence, spoken without thought, by a human who only meant to be kind. The days after the incident passed slowly for Evan Hale, but the station around him moved faster than ever. Even while he remained in the medical ward, he could feel it in the air. Conversations stopped when staff noticed him awake. Data screens dimmed or shifted away when he looked too closely. He was no longer just a patient. He was a question no one knew how to answer. The observational status meant he was monitored at all times. Small sensors hovered near his bed, quietly tracking his heart rate, breathing, and brain activity. None of them bothered him as much as the feeling of being watched by living eyes. Nereth still came to check on him, though she kept a careful distance now. Her movements were slower, more controlled than before, as if she feared another mistake. "How are you feeling today?" she asked, her skin a calm, professional blue. "Like I've become a science project," Evan replied. That earned him a brief shift in her color, lighter this time. Amusement, he thought, or relief. "Your healing is progressing well," she said, "faster than expected." "Humans heal stubbornly," Evan said. "Doctors back home used to say we're hard to finish off." She considered that. "That aligns with recent findings." "Recent?" Evan asked. Nereth hesitated, then nodded. "The Council has begun reviewing human interaction data across multiple stations." Evan frowned. "Because of me?" "Because of patterns," she corrected. You are simply the most visible example. Later that day, Evan was permitted to sit upright and eat solid food. A council observer arrived soon after, accompanied by 2 security officers. The observer was tall, broad-shouldered, with skin like polished stone and eyes that glowed faintly amber. His presence felt heavy, as if the air itself respected him. "I am Counselor Threx," the alien said. "You may address me directly, human." "Evan is fine," Evan said. "Or Mr. Confusing Problem, apparently." The guard stiffened, but Threx only tilted his head. "Humor under stress," Threx said. "Another human trait." "I don't have many others left," Evan replied. "They took my shoes." Threx studied him in silence for a long moment. "You issued an unauthorized affirmation to a medical officer." "I gave a compliment," Evan said. "There's a difference." "In our society there is not," Threx replied. "Words shape hierarchy. Emotion shapes obedience." Evan shook his head slowly. "That sounds exhausting." Nureth stood quietly nearby, her skin carefully neutral. "Explain your intent," Threx said. "There wasn't one," Evan said honestly. "She helped me. She was kind. I noticed her color looked nice, so I said it." "You expected nothing in return?" Threx asked. "Just maybe a smile," Evan said. "Or nothing at all." The counselor's eyes narrowed slightly. "That is statistically unlikely behavior." "Welcome to humanity," Evan said. The interview ended without conclusion. Threx left with more questions than answers, and Evan was returned to quiet observation. But the council did not stop there. Across the station, similar stories surfaced. A human dockworker had calmed a panicked cargo crew with jokes and patience. A human translator had diffused a trade dispute by acknowledging the fears behind the anger. None of it broke laws directly, yet all of it bent the rigid systems the Union relied on. Scientists gathered data. Sociologists argued. Military advisors grew nervous. Humans did not follow expected patterns. Nureth felt the change most deeply. Since meeting Evan, she had begun noticing things she never had before. The way she chose her words. The way her skin reacted to thoughts she had been trained to suppress. Her color no longer shifted only in response to protocol but to feeling. When she returned to her quarters each cycle, she found herself replaying Evan's words. Not the sentence itself, but how it made her feel. Recognized. Individual. It was dangerous. One cycle, an emergency alert shook the station. A transport vessel carrying multiple species docked with damaged life support. Fear spread quickly through the lower decks as patients were rushed into the medical wing. Standard procedure was activated, but it failed. Different species reacted differently to crisis. Some grew aggressive, others froze. Medical staff struggled to manage conflicting instincts. Panic escalated. Evan heard the alarms from his bed. He saw Nureth rush past, her skin flashing with stress. Without thinking, he pulled himself upright, ignoring the pain. "I can help," he said. "You are not cleared," a medic snapped. "I don't need clearance," Evan replied. "I need 5 minutes." Before anyone could stop him, he spoke. He spoke softly to a trembling avian patient, explaining each step before it happened. He cracked a quiet joke to a large armored being whose heart rate was spiking. He met fear with calm, anger with patience. Something incredible happened. The room slowed, breathing steadied. Movements became less frantic. Staff found space to work again. Nureth watched in disbelief as Evan moved through the chaos, not commanding, not forcing, simply connecting. His words did what protocols could not. Within minutes, the crisis passed. Silence filled the ward. Counselor Threx arrived soon after, his expression unreadable. He watched Evan being guided back to his bed, exhausted but alive. "That," Threx said quietly, "was not weakness." In the hours that followed, reports flooded in. The data was undeniable. Humans possessed an ability no other species had developed naturally: emotional alignment across cultural and biological boundaries. They did not dominate minds. They understood them. The council convened an emergency session. Nereth was called to testify. Standing before the council chamber, she felt fear ripple through her skin, but beneath it was something new, resolve. Humans disrupt our systems, one counselor argued. They destabilize established hierarchies. They reveal them, Nereth replied. You defend the human, Threx asked. I defend the truth, she said. Their words did not harm me. They freed me from a silence I did not know I lived in. The chamber fell quiet. Elsewhere, extremist factions whispered of restriction, of removal. A species that could change others without force was more dangerous than any weapon. Evan, unaware of the scale of debate around him, stared at the ceiling of the ward, thinking of Earth, of oceans, of how strange it was that being kind could cause such trouble. He did not see himself as powerful. The galaxy was beginning to disagree. And as fear and admiration spread in equal measure, one thing became clear. Humanity was no longer invisible. It was impossible to ignore a species that could change the course of a crisis, with nothing more than words spoken from the heart. The decision about humanity did not come quickly. The Galactic Council argued for many cycles, their debates filling halls with light, sound, and rising tension. Some members spoke of balance and safety. Others spoke of fear. A few spoke of hope, though they did so quietly, as if afraid the word itself carried risk. Evan Hale recovered enough to walk again, though he was not allowed to leave the medical deck. Guards followed him everywhere, not with weapons raised, but with careful eyes. He noticed how they listened when he spoke, how their posture changed when he thanked them or asked their names. Even now, without trying, he was doing it again. He stopped talking unless necessary. Nereth visited him often. Her skin no longer stayed in rigid professional tones. Colors moved through her naturally now, like a living sky. She no longer apologized for it. They are afraid, she told Evan one cycle, standing beside the viewing window that showed distant stars. Not of your strength. Of your effect. I don't want to change anyone, Evan said. I just want to go home. She looked at him gently. You already have. The council finally reached a decision when events forced their hand. An extremist group, made up of several species who believed emotional influence was a form of control, attempted to remove all humans from Union space. They sabotaged transport routes and issued orders to isolate human-populated stations. The plan failed almost immediately. Dock workers refused to seal bays where humans were stationed. Medical crews ignored evacuation orders that would abandon their human colleagues. Entire ships shut down rather than comply. The extremists had underestimated something simple. People did not follow humans because they were commanded to. They followed because they trusted them. Evan learned about the uprising when Counselor Threx entered the ward alone, his heavy presence quieter than before. It is no longer a question of restriction, Threx said. It is a question of choice. What kind of choice? Evan asked. Whether humanity leads, Threx replied, or whether it walks beside us. Evan shook his head. I'm not a leader. Neither were we, Threx said, before we learned to listen. The council requested Evan's presence. Not as a subject, as a speaker. Standing in the great chamber, Evan felt smaller than ever. Species of every form watched him, some with suspicion, some with warmth, some with something like relief. He spoke simply. He spoke about Earth, about mistakes, about learning slowly, painfully to understand one another. He told them humans were not perfect, not peaceful by nature, but capable of choosing empathy again and again. We don't want power, he said. We want connection, and if that scares you, I understand. It scared us too. Silence followed. Then Nereth stepped forward. She spoke of her people, of a life lived inside rules so strict they forgot feeling. She spoke of a single sentence that changed how she saw herself. He did not take anything from me, she said. He gave me myself. One by one, others spoke. Dock workers, medics, translators, aliens whose lives had been steadied by human presence. The vote was not unanimous, but it was enough. Humanity would not be restricted, they would be invited. A new role was created, one no species had held before. Humans would serve as emotional mediators, crisis responders, and cultural bridges across the Union. Not rulers, not weapons, listeners. Evan declined every title offered to him. He requested transport back to Earth. Before he left, Nureth came to say goodbye. Her skin glowed with a rich, confident color one once forbidden to show freely. "Thank you," she said. Evan smiled. "You look stunning in that color." This time she did not fall. She smiled back. As his ship departed, the galaxy felt different. Not conquered, not controlled, just understood. Humanity did not rise through strength. It rose through kindness. And the stars would never forget the species that changed everything by speaking softly.